Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso today, 4 families were evacuated from their homes early this morning as a fire broke out in their apartment complex. We have the very latest in a live report.
ISIL is not your parents' Al-Qaeda. It's a very different model, and by virtue of that model, it's currently the threat that we're worrying about in the homeland most of all.
The FBI director says the greatest threat to the homeland no longer coming from Al-Qaeda. Details of his new warning.
Plus, first Texas Governor Greg Abbott and now New Mexico Governor wants a review of all the security policies at National Guard recruiting sites and armories.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
FBI Director James Comey now says that the Islamic State group's effort to inspire troubled Americans to violence is becoming more of a terror threat to the U.S. than an external attack by Al-Qaeda.
The FBI director also worries that the shooting in Chattanooga could happen anywhere else in the United States, and that the number of such attacks, especially those inspired by the Islamic State, could increase. We will have the latest on that story in just a bit. But first, good morning, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. Let's get to Crystal Clyde. It's a little humid out there this morning. A lot of rain fell for some people, meaning Stephanie last night.
Got a lot of rain. But I think everybody could enjoy the thunder at least. It was so loud.
It was.
Oh, it really was roaring last night. I've been mentioning on air that I recently got a new dog, and he did not want to leave my side yesterday as a result of those thunderstorms. Let's talk about how much rain we got from those systems that moved through. Just 200 of an inch officially in Las Cruces. I believe some folks got a little higher value than that. And in El Paso, officially 0.27 inches, what we picked up yesterday evening as a result of those rain showers that moved through. We had some thunderstorms develop over the mountains, and then actually a little pulse of rain that moved by from El Paso to Las Cruces. That's why Las Cruces did not pick up as much. We kind of squeezed out a lot of the moisture over El Paso first before making its way into Doña Ana County. Now on your clouds and radar map, just the clouds out there this morning. Light spotty rain out near Silver City, and those rain chances, just like the last few days, they will start to pick back up late afternoon and into the evening. We will track those chances of rain with your hourly raincast as well as your threat tracker coming up.
All right. Thank you, Crystal. Several residents are without a place to sleep this morning after part of an apartment complex caught fire. It happened around 2 this morning on the 7900 block of Viscount at the La Estancia Apartments in East El Paso. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live now with our round-the-clock coverage. Denise.
Good morning, Stephanie. Some frightening moments overnight. Residents forced out of their apartments after 4 units caught fire. Now we're giving you a closer look. Now that the sun is somewhat out, you can get a better look of what it looks like out here. Some of those top story units were affected, and you can see those windows are being left open to possibly air them out. And so far we do know, let's get to that video from our round-the-clock crew. Fire officials have confirmed that the cause of the fire was electrical, and it actually started in an empty apartment that was not being rented out, and investigators are ruling this an accident. As I just mentioned, 4 apartment units were damaged and residents had to be displaced, most of them finding a place to stay with friends or relatives in the meantime. Fire department spokesman Carlos Briano told ABC7 that neighbors smelled smoke and called 911.
In less than 60 seconds, a house, an apartment can get filled with smoke in less than a minute, and that smoke is very toxic. And so it's very important that every apartment complex, every home, anywhere you live has a smoke detector.
And it's still unclear if these apartment units had working smoke detectors, but this isn't the first fire at this apartment complex. There have been 2 other fires since 2012, one in November of 2012 and another in August of 2013, and this one being the 3rd one, 3 in just 3 years. As soon as we get any more information, we'll pass it along. For now, we're live in East El Paso. Denise Olivas, ABC 7.
Thanks so much, Denise. The director of the FBI says the #1 threat to the homeland is now coming from the Islamic State. He says the terrorist group's new tactics have made it an even more dangerous enemy than Al-Qaeda. ABC's Bazi Kanani has more on this story developing right now.
A new warning about the Islamic State's new strategy.
They have invested about the last year in pushing a message of poison.
FBI Director James Comey says ISIS propaganda, spread via a slick social media campaign, is working. Some 21,000 English-speaking followers worldwide. The terrorist group constantly urging those who can't travel to fight with them in the Middle East to strike at home.
ISIL is not your parents' Al-Qaeda. It's a very different model. And by virtue of that model, it's currently the threat that we're worrying about in the homeland most of all.
Unlike Al-Qaeda, Comey says ISIS will use anybody, even unstable drug users, which is how the gunman in Chattanooga, Mohammed Abdulaziz, is described by his family. Comey says it's too soon to know if Abdulaziz was directly inspired by ISIS, but he says in just the last couple of months, the FBI has arrested a significant number of other Americans who were, like 23-year-old Alexander Chicolo from Massachusetts, the son of a Boston police captain. Investigators say he planned to attack a college campus to execute non-Muslim students live on the internet.
In your mind, then, is all of the United States an enemy? Yes. And every person...
Yes, it's unjust.
Comey says he's also worried about a new way ISIS is hiding its communications, using new technology in smartphones to send encrypted messages. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Washington.
New this morning, Iraq's defense ministry has released a video showing what is said are airstrikes on Wednesday targeting Islamic State group hideouts and vehicles in Anbar province. The video also showed the Iraqi defense minister inspecting an airbase and front line near Ramadi, west of Baghdad.
A wanted terrorist believed to be plotting attacks on the U.S. and other Western countries is now dead. The Pentagon confirmed the news. They say the wanted terrorist was killed in Syria in a targeted strike on July 8th. A Pentagon official says his death will disrupt al-Qaeda operations against the U.S. and other Western targets. A Pentagon official says he was among the few trusted al-Qaeda leaders that received advance notice of the September 11th attacks in 2001. And following the shootings at a recruiting facility in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Texas and New Mexico are taking extra precautions. This week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott authorized guardsmen to carry weapons at military facilities statewide. Now, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez wants a review of all security policies at National Guard recruiting sites and armories. Las Cruces has 1 recruitment station and 3 readiness centers.
Mother Emanuel AME Church is still healing emotionally after those 9 people were killed at the church during that Bible study 5 weeks ago. Wednesday night marked 5 weeks since the shooting.
There's a number of people who cannot return because we're standing where it all took place.
While the church continues to heal emotionally, the physical scars of that night remain, and that is only part of the work it needs to be done. The church has received more than $2 million already for improvements alone.
Continuing our complete coverage of the tuberculosis cases and testing around the borderland, there is another case of active TB at Frank Macias Elementary. That's out in Horizon City. The first active case was reported last month. El Paso health officials still won't say if the second person with active TB is a student or a staff member, only saying he or she was part of the first group tested. Out of the 159 students and 96 staff members tested, 51 cases are positive. 20 more people need to be tested. Coming up later on Good Morning El Paso, we speak with the teacher who tested positive, and she's questioning how the district is handling the situation. And if you'd like more information on tuberculosis, just visit kvia.com. On our homepage, you'll find what the TB symptoms are and how it's spread. We've also posted an article explaining the difference between a latent TB infection and a TB disease. Our complete coverage of the TB exposure is right now at kvia.com.
The streets in central El Paso will soon be getting a little quieter, as we've told you.
But it's not the noise that residents are bothered by with the changes coming to their neighborhood. We'll explain.
And just a little later, an out-of-control wildfire is threatening homes and forcing evacuations this morning. We'll show you exactly where.
And meteorologist Crystal Fry has your detailed forecast as well. Crystal.
And does that forecast include another round of evening storms? Looks like it. We'll talk about it after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.